Hello and welcome back to our live streams. Today, our topic of the day is Will AI replace software engineers? So we're gonna jump on with Sky, Dweez, and Ziad today, and we're gonna answer some questions. And I know it's been a while since we've all been on live, so we're really excited to kind of jump back into the swing of things and get started with some new topics today. So we'll wait for our creators to come jump in, and hopefully we will get started right away and jump into this topic. And if you have any questions, we're here every Wednesday at it should be 10:30 a.m. PST, and you're welcome to drop any questions you have throughout. You're welcome to answer them as long as they're on topic, and then we'll save the other ones for other topics. Good morning, Sky. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm just going to turn up my volume here so I can hear everybody okay. I'm just letting everybody know that our topic today is, will AI replace software engineers? So I think this is a really relevant topic today, so I'm excited to jump into it. And I'm just going to so I see Dweez is joining. I'm just going to invite Zia.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Great, you?
Good. It's been a long time since we kind of started these, or last jumped to a live stream. So I'm excited to jump on and get started today. So while we're waiting for Ziad, I'll jump in right with the first question because I know people are excited to hear about the topic. So does somebody want to answer this question? What is AI and how does it relate to software engineering? Does anybody want to start with that?
I could start. So AI, of course, is artificial intelligence. And how it relates to software engineering is, it's like a programmed system. So like software engineers usually are the ones working on, if that's like their field, they're working on AI and large language models, things like that. So if you're a software engineer, that's definitely a path that you could take. You could program AI.
Absolutely. That's a great explanation of it. And I'm going to throw this one to Dweez too. So how has AI impacted the field of software engineering in recent years? So I'll throw that to Sky after, but Dweez, do you want to start with that in some ways that you've seen it impact?
Yeah, so I think, yeah, sorry. So I do think it's becoming more and more prevalent. I think it's becoming going in the direction of knowing how to use certain models when during the software development process. But I think mainly with like algorithms and data structures, especially algorithms. Algorithms are embedded in everything lately. So yeah, during the software engineering process, software development process, you will have to have someone on the team that has experience with like data management and data sciences because algorithms are really becoming huge right now.
Absolutely. That was a great explanation. For Ziad that just joined, I'm going to repeat the question. I'm going to throw it to Sky and then I'm going to throw it back to Ziad. So Ziad, we're currently on the question, how has AI impacted the field of software engineering in recent years? So I'm going to throw that to Sky. Think about it for a little bit and then we'll come back to you. So go ahead, Sky.
I mean, I think obviously AI has like really taken off this past year. And I think as far as like software engineering, like obviously everybody's super interested in AI. Like I know I've looked into AI, machine learning, and large language models. Like how can I like be in this space? But I feel like especially with like all the AI tools that we have now, it's gonna like for sure change our jobs as software engineers because a lot of things have become easier, and then other things like it might feel like AI could be a crutch too. So hopefully we can like expand on the tools that we have and like actually become better software engineers instead of kind of letting it just do all the work for us. But it's definitely like I've seen in the past 6 months like a huge shift to where AI is like a full part of your job now as like a software engineer. Like you in some capacity you're using like even the smallest tool on like your IDE, but you're using some sort of like AI to learn something new or to implement into like your code.
Absolutely. Great explanation. Great examples that you provided. Ziad, I'll throw that back to you if you have an answer that hasn't been touched on already.
Um, Great question. I think that AI recently has definitely been like a tool that engineers have kind of slowly adopted. Sky kind of hinted at it earlier, but the most obvious example I can think of is like GitHub Copilot, for example, where it really helps you write code. It doesn't like replace engineers, but at the same time, when you are coding something, like AI kind of has the context of what you're building and it can like help you with that. So if I'm writing like an if statement, it'll like be like, oh, like this is probably the if statement you want to write, and it'll kind of just like auto complete it pretty easily for you. So it's kind of like an augmented way of writing code now alongside AI, which is super cool. And I mean, there's a lot of tools that I even use just like daily. Even something like ChatGPT, I mean, like it does a really good job of like explaining code, for example, that you don't really understand. So it's like you can give it a piece of code and be like, I have no clue what this is doing. Can you like summarize it to me like a 5 year old? You know, it'll tell you exactly what the piece of code is doing. So I think, especially like if you're in engineering, you should definitely use some AI tools to like help you do your job. I think it's definitely like a good crutch to stand on. It'll like improve over time, and the more you get used to things now, the more powerful of an engineer you'll be.
Absolutely, completely agree. It kind of opens up that new aspect of like learning, like you said, like it can explain code, like what the code is doing in like basic 5-year-old language if needed. Fantastic. So, what are some specific tasks or aspects with software engineering that AI could show significant potential in automating? So, like, what are these up and coming tasks that could be potentially automated by AI in the future? And I know a lot of people are really worried about this. I'm going to throw this, I think, to Sky first.
I think when I think of that, or when I hear that question, I automatically think of like front end, just because AI is very good at, I mean, so far that we've seen it's being, and maybe it's just how people are utilizing it. Maybe that's where their heads go, but, it's like creating like these, it'll create like a whole website for you, like very good, like front end, things. And maybe now that I'm thinking of it, it's probably just because of like humans application of it. I'm sure it'll be great at back end too, but, I just think it'll definitely impact front end a lot. And for some people, you know, they're worried about not having jobs doing that. But I think the market will probably just shift. Like if AI gets so good and we allow it to actually just create a whole website and that's it, and we don't need anything else, then I know that those people who really focused on front end will hopefully shift into utilizing that AI more or building on top of it, to hopefully like keep a space in the market for themselves. But yeah, I think of front end when I think of that.
Definitely. I'm going to throw this to Dweez next. So is there anything that you can see potentially being automated with software engineering? Sky, I completely agree with that. So that's kind of hard to follow up. But if you have any Dweez, we would love to hear them.
Yeah, like I 100% agree with Sky. Like nowadays, you just go on with AI, you can build like a whole front end page, or it can give you a template at least. And I think these types of AI tools are built with specific, yeah, data that they take in consideration. So you have like specific elements. We talked about it in a previous live where you have like the menu bar on top on the left corner of like the web pages, and you click on it, or it can be on the right side as well, but there are like certain design criteria that developers adhere to. And like such AI tools, they like can give you a nice template and give you a guideline in the sense of, okay, you can start thinking in this direction, because at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure front-end developers, they look at the template and they say, I can do it better. So they go and they create their own version of it. But yeah, things like that, honestly, from the back end point of view, that I don't know much of, apart from algorithms, as I mentioned before. But it's going to be a matter of knowing how to use these AI tools as a developers. But developers will ultimately be the ones that come up with like the end product,
For
I think
sure.
at least.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Sorry for the shakiness in my camera. I'm having issues with my tripod. It just kind of broke on me, so I'm holding it
Oh
manually.
no.
So I'm gonna throw this to Ziad, and I'm gonna try to fix it while Ziad's talking. So just
Yeah.
ignore me while Ziad answers this question.
Yeah, in terms of AI automation, I think I gotta agree with Sky on this as well. I think like a big application of it right now is like front end development. So when it comes to building basic components, like or at least like have it kind of guide you to building those components is the biggest piece that I see. I think it's like in my opinion, I think it could totally replace like basic website builders and stuff like that, like Wix and like personal websites, stuff like that. I think it's definitely ready to like tackle those like basic kind of websites where you just have like a tab bar, some text, some images, stuff like that. I think it can do a really good job of replacing that. But I will say like there's definitely a lot of front end development out there that won't like isn't really possible right now to get replaced. Like for example, if you're building like complex applications that are like very front end focused, like I'm thinking of a website like Canvas, for example. You know, like Canvas is like a design tool where you can like drag and drop like images and create posters and flyers and stuff like that. That's like a very complex front end, and like the front end team over there is like writing a lot of algorithms to like calculate all the distances and the like the aspect ratios and stuff like that. So I don't know if AI can totally replace like those type of front end developers. But yeah, in terms of automation, I think it's going to get better over the years. So like eventually, like a big part of engineering will start to shift more to like technical design and like thinking about how we want to solve the problem rather than like actually typing the code and like implementation. Basically, I think that part will probably get taken over by AI in the next like decade or so.
That's fair. And like Ziad said, next decade, but like if you jump in, well, I guess this kind of leads into another question that I could jump around to is so since these things may be automated down the road, what could you learn in the meantime to make sure that you can still stay in tech and stay within the software engineering industry? Does anybody have like a quick answer to that?
I think like honestly, as I mentioned, like I think technical design will be like where things are at. So, and currently that's like what the higher positions in tech usually are responsible for. Like if you're a tech lead for a team or like a staff software engineer or like you know like a senior level position basically, your time starts to get like less about coding and more about like writing documentation for other developers, describing to them like how things should be built and stuff like that. And usually the actual implementation goes to like the either not new grads, but like lower level engineers basically, like not senior level. So I think like if you want to definitely stay relevant, you want to like start to think more like that because I think the people who aren't are like purely doing the implementation and not like worrying about what technologies we should use and technical design and stuff. I think those folks will probably get replaced at some point. Just because it's gonna get to a point where like it's cheaper for companies to like automate implementation and dedicate more money to people who understand like high level technical design and stuff like that. So I think I'll start thinking about that. And there's like lots like that industry exists today, so you can like start to like read into like technical design and technologies and stuff like that.
Definitely. That's really great for the audience. So hopefully people are writing that down because we obviously want you to break into tech, but we want you to kind of stay on top of those trends with AI and make sure that your job's not replaced at the end of the day, which probably won't happen again for another decade or so, or maybe longer, because there's still some bugs that need to be kind of sorted out. Awesome. So I'm going to jump into our next question here. We kind of answer. I'm just looking at. I basically just asked that next question, but the next question is technically like, do you think that AI will completely replace software engineers in some aspect of their work in the future? Which Ziad basically just answered, but I'll throw it to Sky and Louise to see if they have any thoughts on this with AI in general.
I mean, I was just listening to, I can't remember his name, so it's this information might be useless, but it's someone in the tech space, and he was saying he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he was saying how like the idea of AI fully taking over like coding, like for AI to know how to code on its own and for it to be able to like prompt itself and create like a full program, which it hasn't done yet, like without human intervention. that would be like the top, like the ultimate goal, I guess. But he said it was like so far away that we actually aren't even close to that. Because if you see, like, there is a lot of human intervention in the process. So I feel like even if like coding was fully, because I mean, technically you could create a whole program using AI if you know, led it to the answers. You could put it all together and you could say this is a program that's fully created by AI, but you prompted it. But I mean, we'll always need like that human intervention. So it's like companies might be able to do that, but will they want to, or will it be the most efficient or the best way to do things? Maybe not.
Absolutely, completely agree. Dweez, I'm going to throw the same question to you. Like, do you have anything to add on to Sky or Zia's answer?
Yeah, I agree with what both Sky and Ziad said. I also think that the roles of engineer in general will change in the future. So we will be dealing with different types of problems, if that makes sense. So like 20, 30 years from now, it's going to, what we know as software engineering, it's going to look completely different, I think. And yeah, with these things bring new problems with them, and the problems that they will be tackling, they're going to look really different. And I don't think these things, it's tech, it's like development. So yeah, development includes having new problems to solve. So no, I don't think AI will replace developers like that. No.
For sure. This is a great debate happening. Thank you guys for sharing your thoughts on this. Okay, so this is something that we can get on top of as people. So what are some ways that AI collaborate to create more efficient and innovative solutions? So do you guys have any tools? I know you were talking about, I think it was GitHub, possibly it was Ziad was talking.
Yeah.
What was it?
Copilot.
Copilot. Copilot's like one of those tools. Do you guys have any other tools that you can kind of work with AI to create really creative and efficient solutions to coding? Ziad, we'll throw it to you since you're talking about Copilot briefly, and then I'll throw it back to Sky for
Yeah,
maybe.
I'm trying to remember what it was called, but I used it quite frequently before. Basically, it was this like extension in your VS Code or like your code editor that basically like looked at your code and generated tests from them, which was like really cool. So like if you're writing a lot of backend code, it would like analyze what code that you just wrote, and it would be like, these are the test cases that I think that we should write. And once you kind of like approve them, then they kind of get written for you. I can't remember what it was called, but I've used it quite frequently before when I did more back-end code. But basically, like tools like that are really helpful. Like most of the tools are usually like extensions or like they won't be like an entire IDE that's like AI driven or something. Like it'll be like add-ons to what you already have. Even like Chrome extensions and stuff. I'm sure you'll find like a lot of AI tools on there. But yeah, like if there's, I think the framework is really like if there's anything that's just very tedious that you're doing that seems like it should be automated, most likely someone else has had that like same issue, and there's some AI tool out there that kind of like helps you do that. I know there's one that like writes comments for you, for example, to like read your code and insert comments where need be. So things like that, yeah, like I think are very helpful. Just like see what your kind of like day to day is as like a software engineer or as an aspiring one, and there's definitely going to be a tool that can help you from that end.
Currently use any or know of any tools that can kind of work into this?
I mean, honestly, there's like literally a tool, like Ziad said, there's a tool for everything. I'm like a simple girl. I'm just like a OpenAI, like a chat GPT, like chat.openai girl. I just like will use that. Or Copilot. I've tried that out now. But I just think it's cool to note that like when computers first came out and people really started using them at home, they started to realize like, oh, I can create, you know, a little program that will keep my notes, or, you know, and then we have like a calculator app, and then we can add this and add that and do different fonts. And like, that's what's happening with AI right now. Like someone has an idea, oh, I have this problem, AI can solve it, but it's happening so fast because AI is like so quick and it's so easy now. So it's just like happening like overnight. There's apps and tools and resources for everything. But something I did find was it's called Gamma, GAMMA .app. And I think we'll have a video on Triple 10 soon that I made about Gamma.app. But it's a website it's an AI website generator, and it's free. There's like a free trial and then there's a premium, but it's not released yet. So it's basically just all free right now to try. But it's so easy. You'll just literally type in one sentence, not in like a huge paragraph prompt. You just say in one sentence what you want, and it creates an entire website, and it's like gorgeous looking. And then you can say you want different styles, and then there it is. Like, it's probably the coolest AI like generator I've seen so far.
Wow, that's really cool. Gamma.app is what it's called. Okay, right on. Well, if you're on the live, I would be sure to go check that out, especially if Sky is a fan of it. I think that's a really great. There's tons out there, but even if you want to mention like how you work with ChatGPT, I'm sure people would love to know that.
Yeah. No, well, first of all, I just the other day I saw this app. It was very similar to what Ziad was explaining. It's called like Code GPT, and like it does the stuff Ziad was mentioning, and it can like you can select a specific area in your code, and it can identify possible issues that you may have. It can explain the code for you and do tests. So yeah, pretty cool. I think these AI tools are more geared towards productivity right now. It's for the quality of life. So soon you'll be having engineers that will be bored at work. That's not going to happen. I'm just kidding. But you're going to have like engineers that will be super quick in their jobs because of tools like these. It's amazing. And I think that this is what it's going to continue to be like. It's going to be more, we're going to become more efficient, and ultimately the development process itself is going to skyrocket. I really think so.
Absolutely. And Dweez, I know you're a tools master. You're always finding these funky little tools everywhere all over the internet. So make sure you go check out his videos on our page if you're looking for any tools in general, because he basically has a tool for everything, which is fantastic. Okay, a couple ethical considerations, because I know we talked about this in a whole different live stream. I feel like we've talked about this 2 or 3 times with ethics and AI, but specifically in relation to this conversation. So Ziad, I'll throw this to you first since you're next, is what ethical challenges arise when integrating AI into software engineering processes?
Um, yeah, I mean, the big one obviously is like, for example, there's a lot of people that have an issue with like, is this your work? Like, is this like it was an issue before, obviously, with like plagiarism and like looking up stuff online and taking it and passing it off as your own. But a big thing that like privacy folks worry about is like, um, is it really your own work if it's like ChatGPT generated, for example? Like if you're typing out code and you use a generator to do it. There's that aspect of things. What I also know is a lot of companies have like security dilemmas around these things. Like I have a friend who works at Zoom, and they actually banned ChatGPT just altogether from the company because a lot of employees were like basically copying and pasting company code into ChatGPT and asking it to like either refactor it or explain it or something like that. And obviously OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, definitely like collects data to like try to improve their models and stuff like that. So that's like a privacy issue as well. It's like companies might not let you do it because they're worried about, like if a company like Zoom, for example, if their code gets leaked, then people might like go into meetings with malicious like intents and stuff like that. So there's that aspect of things. I also want to mention like AI in general has so many like people that are arguing against it ethically because of the power that it could give people. Like for example, I'm sure you guys have seen like memes online and stuff where it's like they'll get a popular celebrity or something that's like talking or saying something, but it's not actually them. It's like a deep faked like voice or something. So obviously it's like funny right now because like you're seeing a lot of like cool Instagram posts and stuff like that are pretty funny, but it's also an issue from like a criminal perspective, you know, like you could say that someone said something when they actually didn't, or you could for like from the perspective of like politicians or something, you know, like you could paint them as like saying they support something or saying they don't support something based on just like AI generated things. So I think what a lot of people are concerned about is that like the legal side of things and also like the privacy side of things isn't like innovating as fast as AI is, or it's not like catching up as fast. So it's a big like issue of whether or not we should like as a race, I guess, like continue to like invest so much in AI when we don't really know like what bad actors will use it basically to do. So yeah, there's you can like if you literally just Google like AI like ethics or something, so many like very well known public figures are talking about this issue.
Yes, I saw one with, I think it was on TikTok with Leonardo DiCaprio, like this guy like deep faked his face and it's like that looks exactly like him from Titanic. Which is cool to see, but you're totally right. It could absolutely be used in like a criminal way. Sky or Dweez, do you have anything to add to this conversation or any points that you want to chat about with what Ziad said with X's are awesome.
Yeah, I can take it even a bit further. Like,
Sure.
okay, so let's say, okay,
Yeah,
hypothetically,
I can take it even a bit further.
I
Like,
can hear
okay,
myself,
so
by the
let's
way.
say, okay, yeah,
Hypothetically,
I can take it even a bit further.
I
Like,
can hear
okay,
myself,
so
by the
let's
Oh
way.
my
say,
goodness,
okay,
feedback of
yeah, I can
Dweez. I don't
take
know
it
what's
even a bit
happening.
further.
Oh, there we go. Now
Yeah,
it's not. Okay, try again.
yeah, yeah. So, like, imagine
There we go.
someone,
Now
let's
Yeah,
it's
say,
not. Okay,
goes
try
to
again.
rob a bank,
yeah. So,
and
like,
I'm getting
imagine
feedback. Is anybody else
someone
getting
actually.
feedback
yeah,
on their end?
now it's stopped.
Okay, maybe try
But
now.
yeah. So, and like, there's like these cameras, right? And like, let's say some hacker like hacks the camera and like puts Olivia's face, you know, and then like it's Olivia grabbing money from the vault, and then you know it can go that deep. Like, and I don't think these things were thought of before. Like as Iyad said, AI development is taking the rate at which it's taking place is going much faster than like the ethical issues that arise with it. And yeah, I'm just curious to see like how we will tackle this because how do you know in advance, let's say, like how certain problems that may arise in for AI in tech, a field that develops so quickly, how do you know, come up with measures before it becomes a problem, like with deep fakes and stuff like that already? Like I'm thinking there may be somewhere on account that's talking about things that I completely disagree with, and you know, so these things really should be talked about. And yeah, there are more public figures coming out and talking about it, so that's great. I just hope it doesn't reach the point where it's totally out of control and there's deep fakes everywhere. Like even now when I go on YouTube, I see The Weeknd and Drake songs in AI. That's all I see. And I see like whole albums appearing. I'm like, no, this isn't real. So it it's like there's such a thin line between reality, what's real, and what's being made by AI. And we should really
Absolutely.
like pay attention to it.
Yeah, it's kind of freaky sometimes. Sky, do you have anything to add to this conversation, even about deepfakes or just like ethical considerations with AI?
I mean, there's so many different aspects. I did think it was funny that a lawyer, or maybe it was a paralegal, but they used ChatGPT to write their like legal brief. He cited like sources that didn't exist because sometimes like ChatGPT will hallucinate and it will seem really convincing and it will give you a source, but then it's like you look up the source and it doesn't exist. It's just using, because all ChatGPT is like a language model. So it's just predicting the next word that it needs to give you the best answer possible. So basically, it's not using real data as of yet, I don't think, unless you use plugins. So yeah, he wrote up a legal brief with ChatGPT, and now he's like in trouble. I think he got his legal license taken away, possibly. I don't know. I thought that was a funny story though, but yeah, I just feel like the same with, before all this AI hype, like a year or two ago, I took I took an engineering ethics class in college, and the same thing is just like, we have these kind of guidelines or ethics that we need to follow. But aside from taking that class and like being in the real world, it's like it's very clear that you're either going to follow them or you're not going to. So it's the same thing with AI. Like we're going to either follow ethical guidelines, which I think we need to like maybe write those up so we have a clear definition of what they are, because some people consider some things ethical and other things not so ethical. But having like a clear guideline would make sense. And then after that, people are either going to follow it or they're not going to follow it.
And then there's that fine line though that you can draw, which is kind of nice to see, because I feel like the lines are gray right now. Like people kind of know, but it's like, well, you could take it from multiple perspectives with this. But if they're in clear guidelines, I feel like it's going to be definitely easier. So you're totally right.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
sorry, I do think
jump
it's
in.
also like who's going to come up with these guidelines, you know? Like, will it be
Yeah.
the engineers, the developers? Will it be lawmakers? I like there's like interdisciplinary. I don't remember which one it is, but like teamwork between the different disciplines. There needs to be like really good communication. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So yeah, that's the question, the problem they will need to solve. We will need
Absolutely.
to solve.
Yeah, it's coming down. Yeah, and we're getting closer to that point. So maybe we'll have a future live stream about it in the future when these guidelines do come out. So I want to talk quickly about the limitations and challenges and then the impact on the job market. So how might AI's rise affect the demand for software engineers and jobs related to the tech industry moving forward? So do you think that there's going to be a big decrease? Do you think there's going to be a huge increase? What I know Ziad was talking about specific things with software engineering, like I think design specific areas where that's going to definitely be used by people. But what are your guys' thoughts on this topic? I'll start with Ziad.
Yeah, I mean, I think immediately there's actually been like a lot of jobs that have kind of popped up because of the need for people who understand this stuff. Like I'm sure you guys have heard of this, but they're hiring like prompt engineers, they call them, which are basically like people that know how to really work with something like ChatGPT or just models in general really well in order to implement like AI features within the company. So that's like a whole role that didn't exist before that like a lot of companies are hiring. Um, and then there's just a lot of like machine learning specific roles that I've seen like open up in the past like few months that, companies hear of this thing that's like very trendy, it's coming out and they like want a piece of it. So they'll hire either software engineers with a machine learning background or like someone who specializes in natural language processing, stuff like that, so that they can see how they can implement the models within their company. So that's like long term, as I mentioned earlier, like things are going to shift a little bit more to like technical design rather than implementation. So it's important that like as a software engineer, you're not just like specializing in only React, for example, or like only like one language or something like that. Because it's very like it's easy to become obsolete like if you're very like narrow minded like that. And I think that's just in general in tech, honestly. Like the more you read and the more you learn, you'll stay relevant for like a longer time.
For sure. Dweez, I'll throw it to you next and then we'll go to Sky.
Sorry, could you go through
Yeah,
the question again? Yeah.
absolutely. So how might AI's rise affect the demand for software engineers and jobs related in tech, like the
Yeah,
opportunities?
yeah, I think tech in general is going to grow. It is a growing industry already, and I don't think this is going to change. As a matter of fact, with because there will be AI will become more prevalent. Certain tasks, as the ad said, like if you are specialized in one thing alone, you're not going to last for long, because probably at some point there will be an AI tool that really eliminates like a big chunk of your work. But I think because of that, again, there's going to be new opportunities. Like there's going to be different roles, new roles that will be appearing. Like again, like prompt engineers. I didn't know it wasn't a thing a few years ago. It's only now becoming more prevalent. So we're going to have more roles like this that will appear, and yeah, I think tech will just keep on growing with AI. AI will be the reason that the tech industry will grow, I think, or it will contribute greatly to it, at least.
Absolutely. Sky, do you want to touch on this?
Yeah, exactly what Dweez and Z had said. Like, I feel like when computers were first coming out, everyone was super scared. Like, oh, the computers are going to take our jobs. Like, we're not going to have to do these things anymore. We're not going to have to do mail anymore because computers do it now. And like, it wasn't true. If anything, it created, millions of jobs. Like, everyone works on the computer now, and it created a bunch of jobs. And if you look, I mean, there was like Y2K, like I feel like those people had it even worse than us. Like they were literally scared the world was going to end. But I feel like, before we had even software, there were only jobs for hardware, and then software came around, and now we have all these jobs to, work on software and work on computer science and things like that, and software engineering. So I feel like right now in the job market, I'm only seeing jobs being added, which is great. Like Ziad said, prompt engineer. I'm in a prompt engineering course right now with my college, and I was looking at like job salaries, and it said like $350,000 for a prompt engineer. And then there's other people who say that that's not even a real job and they're not real engineers. So I don't know, but I feel like it's just going to add to the market, and we're just going to have all of these, the jobs might look different. You might not be programming, but you might be like an AI ethics officer, or you might be like overseeing an AI department, something like that.
Absolutely. That's actually really interesting. I love that you keep bringing up the computer, because like this, I feel like that's a really relevant like parallel to AI, like in terms of like new technology. And honestly, like in tech, I feel like everything's going to be like, you have fridges that are smart fridges now, and somebody had to come up with that. Like soon you're going to have like your walls are going to be smart at some point. So it's just going to be this continuing, I don't know, trickle effect throughout history. I feel like that everything's going to become automated in some way or another, and you're going to have people behind the scenes to run those things. So I always feel like tech is a great industry to get in, because it's only going up, and you can see it from the computer to now. So it's going up and up and up, which is fantastic. I'm going to ask one more question here for the day, and then we're going to jump out of here. And it's, where do you see the intersection of AI and software heading in the next 5 to 10 years, or just AI in general? Where do you see AI going in the next 5 to 10 years? I'm going to start with Dweez on this. Let's go to Dweez first.
Yeah, I saw a video today of a robot. I don't know where it was. It's called Austin, and I think it delivers food or something like that. It's just a tiny robot that drives around the city and delivers food. So yeah, things like that, like drones delivering food and flying cars that are also being driven. No, the flying cars is a bit extreme, but self-driving cars. I'm starting to think more in that direction. I was in Denmark a few weeks ago, yeah, a few months ago, and like the metros, no one is driving the metro, and it's like 24/7. So you can like go out at 4 a.m. and you can just safely go back home because it's operated automatically. So, and all of these things are, yeah, I'm not sure if it's specifically AI, but like the automation aspect of it, at least, it's already there. And I think it's only going to grow from now. It's going to be really normal, I think, 10 years from now. Certain things that are just coming up now, they're just starting to appearing now. It's going to be normal 5 to 10 years from now. The extent of which that development will happen, though, that I don't know. Like, I cannot tell you what exactly we can expect. But if Having a tool like ChatGPT, I would tell you, no, you're crazy. But here we are. So yeah, I'm curious to see. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a great point. Ziad, I'm going to throw this to you and then to Sky to close us out.
Yeah, in the next few years, I definitely think that these like existing technologies are going to get significantly better. Like something like ChatGPT will, I mean, even today, like sometimes you'll ask it something and it'll like give you something weird and you'll know that's like instinctively not right. So I think like over time, as these models get bigger and more fine-tuned, it'll get significantly like more accurate and more better. And then what I'm really excited about is just like the amount of companies that I'm kind of seeing on LinkedIn like pop up that are centered around AI that have some sort of application that seems promising. I think it's kind of similar to like when the internet came out, you had like thousands of companies that were just like doing something with the internet. And even though like 90% of them like failed, that like 10% of companies are like Google, Amazon, a lot of like the companies that exist today that are like one of the biggest in the world, like Apple, stuff like that. I think that this is going to be something similar where like in the next 3 to 5 years, we're just going to have so many like AI companies that are doing something with AI, but only like a certain percentage of them will actually succeed, but that certain percentage will be like really cool. So like, I think you guys probably have heard of a company called Cruise, which is doing like self-driving they're doing self-driving cars, but it's more of like a rideshare service, so it's kind of like Uber but like self-driving cars. So it's like they're doing very, very well. Like they're, I think in San Francisco and like all of California, they're operating like just normally now. Like it's just normal to Uber a self-driving car. So I think companies like that are going to be really like instrumental in changing how day-to-day things are. Like at least 10 years, it's going to be like very normal to see things like that.
Absolutely, completely agree. Sky, any last thoughts on AI in the next 5 to 10 years, even with software engineering or just AI by itself?
I mean, I think you guys gave like a great overview. I mean, all of those things. And then like Ziad was saying, like the .com boom, like I never thought of that, but I definitely can see that because there's so many, it's like every company has an AI department now, and everyone has like an AI idea, like how people used to have like app ideas or website ideas. So I feel like that's totally going to happen. Like, what's great is going to continue, and then maybe others will kind of trickle off. But yeah, I mean, in like the age of information, I feel like our amount of knowledge is just going to like increase tenfold in the next couple of years because of AI. AI is even, they're using artificial intelligence to like write mathematical proofs and like solve formulas that we haven't been able to solve for hundreds of years. So there's just going to be like this huge connection of like just like infinite knowledge, I feel like. But yeah, I mean, I see that happening in like the next 2 years. So I think it's just going to go so fast. And then in 10 years, I mean, I have no clue. I think it's going to be great though. I honestly feel like it's just going to improve quality of life. As everything we've done so far, we live in like the best age ever on earth. So I feel like hopefully it'll just keep going in the same direction.
I love that. I'm going to have that as the title, The Best Age Ever on Earth. That is fantastic. I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. It was a little bit of a shorter live stream. We had some technical issues at the beginning, but we are here every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. PST, at least for sure for the month of August, and then hopefully after that forever. So make sure you tune in, and always feel free to drop your questions in the chat. Turn your questions. We will see you next week. Thanks, everybody. See you soon.